about, all the ECW originals anymore. It's the same stuff within your head 5, 6 times all the time. Nothing different. Nothing original.
I give Neil Jones, the one who goes by Jack on In Your Head, credit. I give him credit. He hustled to get the best guests. He really hustled it. I give him credit for that. But here's the thing. When you don't have a guest and you got to just be able to talk, and I've always said that about wrestling shows. One of the reasons why I stopped doing the dark match is there was too much emphasis on a wrestling show always having a guest. If it's not going to be a name that's currently in WWE or TNA, then it had to be someone on the independent circuit that was of name value, or it had to be an old schooler. I got to the point to where, and I even told this to Rick Ryder, that with the way this emphasis is on guests, I said, I don't know if I could keep doing this. And this was shortly before Rick Ryder left, because he was starting to get...
You came up, you're saying everything so inaccurately, because that was before I showed up. When I showed up, now that you don't have a guest, all you got to do is call me.
Yeah, I don't need a guest. If you're a wrestling talk show, you should be talking the issues of wrestling. That's the point. Get callers in there. Get them involved. Get social media involved. That's what a show is. The show is supposed to, they're supposed to get to know who you are. I remember when I was telling False Count Anywhere, and I was talking to him when he first started his show. I said, "You're doing a 2-hour show almost every day, and you're having 4 guests on at a time." And I said, "They don't know
killing
who
me."
I said, "They don't know
me too.
Yeah,
he was killing me. He was killing me altogether. Oh.
Yeah, and I told him. I said, "They don't even know who you are." I just looked at him. I went, "They don't know who you are."
People knew who I was before they knew who JT Evans was. People knew who you were before they knew who JT Evans was.
And then when he got on me about it, he originally thought I was just getting pissed off because he was getting all these good guests. I said, "Watch your show," and he admitted it to me because I said it to him. I said, "Watch your show in another 3 weeks." I said, "Watch your show in another 3 weeks," and or not even 3 weeks. I said 2 months. Another 2 months. I said, "You will not have anybody coming to your shows," and he didn't.
After I left False Count Radio, they fell apart. I was the one keeping it together. I was the one writing the interviews. I was the one writing the emails to people to get the guests. I was the one making the intros. If not for me, that show would have never lasted 3 weeks.
Okay, there is a question here in the chat room that we do want to get to here. Hey, Bob, tell Jonathan Clarke I said, "Hi, what's up? I love him as a brother and is the Wacko Network family for me." So you're getting a lot of love here.
Who's that?
That would be Lisa.
Oh,
Miss
thank
Destiny.
you. I know that a lot of people have missed me over the years. But, I've got a lot of personal issues that I had to deal with and stuff. I just recently had hand surgery on my hand. My finger was knocked out of place and dislocated, so I had to have emergency hand surgery. And I'm hoping to get this cast removed over the next couple of weeks. And then my dad, of course, with his suicide last year, and then my mom with cancer. It kind of just really knocked me off. But I keep coming back because I don't forget about you guys. That's why whenever I have an issue, I tell Bob, I'm doing this on YouTube, or I'm doing this. And I always come back, and I'm hoping that around Christmas time we're going to be able to do another Jonathan Clarke Christmas show with a different kind of theme than what we had last year. And there's a lot to talk about, and we'll get to all of that. And I like how people support me. I like how I think that's what really irritated a lot of other radio show hosts that I used to work with over the years and things like that. People for some reason just always used to gravitate to me and liked my opinions on stuff, and that's why I got so far with it. And then people like JT Evans, who Bob used to just mention there, always used to refer to me as a mark who'd never make it, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, let's go one step further here with JT Evans. In the end, he wound up doing what I told him to do: focus on one guest, which is what I told him. Focus on one guest. I said, and only be a 1 hour show because I said you're new to this. I said when I first started doing the dark match, I was only doing 1 hour. When that was when I was doing the dark match. Originally it started out as a 1 hour show, and was handled by. It was handled with me as the co-host at the time. I owned the show, but I was the co-host. In the end, I had to step up because the person that was with me and was the original host of the dark match, James Young, he wasn't. He only went into things with half a heart. So I had to step up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had to choose to get rid of James Young, and then I had to become the host. And actually, I went and did a lot just to find a co-host. Of course, most people remember me bringing in the Rod, then Rick Ryder.
I remember the Rod. I also remember James Young. James Young was that guy that was 19 or something. He said he was 19 or something, then he turned around to be someone completely different.
Well, he had a birth date that said he was 26, and it actually turned out he was 16, and that was a big thing. And now I'd given up a lot of money that originally was going into Homeland Security, getting my license and whatnot for that. Just to do this radio thing. I was manipulated into this, but in the end, it was me flipping the bill.
See, this is why I like Bob so much for so many years. Bob put so much effort into this show on Blog Talk Radio that was originally free. And Bob puts so much money into stuff and promotes stuff so much and puts so much time and emphasis on certain things. And then people like Bob are the ones who can never get ahead. But he still keeps coming back for more. Like, I don't know how much Bob has put into this show for the last 7 or 8 years, almost 10. But, man, give the guy credit.
Yeah, definitely. There are a couple of issues here. I'm checking. I do know that one person did want to call into the show. I do want to see if they're up on the site. I am working to get this up. Where is my studio? There's a lot. Again, like I was saying, there's a lot to consider.
Yeah. I know there were a few topics that were thrown up there in the chat room by somebody too, weren't there?
Yeah, Lisa has some, and I'm going to get to that. Here she is. She's actually waiting here. It's Angela Drake here. Cyanide's in the chat room as well on BTR with a guest. Angie, how you doing? Angie, you're
Sounds like a dog in the background barking there.
Yeah, she may have one of them up a little too loud. Angie, you there?
We're going to ask you to turn it down a bit.
Angie. Whoa, Angie. Angie, you want to check your...
You want to turn back you want to turn down your feedback there a bit. We're getting a lot of feedback from your end.
Yeah, Angie, I got Angie muted here. I do have feedback going there, Angie. If you could check your volumes on where you're listening to the show. I know you got it. I know you're up on both BTR and Mixler. You want to check the volumes on those just so we can get you up.
Yeah, so many people want to call in, and the thing is, you got to make sure that everything around you is quiet and there's no feedback or anything, because then that'll come back on the archive, and then your premiere on the Wacko Network won't sound as great as what you want it to. So make sure that when you call into that number, 64647853337, still remember it, not senile anymore. You got to make sure that everything is just set perfectly so we can get you on and have your file and your thoughts on everything. So let's try again.
Let's see. All right, Angie, you with us? Angie.
I think it's a distorted microphone is what we're dealing with here. I think seems like it's a distorted mic.
Yeah, something is definitely wrong there. So we'll see if Angie can fix that on her end. I know Angie is normally good about taking care of those things.
Yep. Anyone else who wants to call in again, it's, 64647853337, 64647853337. 5337. We've got the conversation going about Olivia Holt, Dove Cameron's, Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, who's someone that I really don't want to get into because it's the same thing with Taylor Swift all the time. She's bringing up celebrities all the time on stage, from John Legend to Nicki Minaj to this one and that one, same old crap with her. I want something new from Taylor Swift, but I don't think I'm going to get it anytime soon. Oh, boy.
Here's one for you. I know you probably, this one is probably not someone to really care about here. Jackass star Steve-O gets jail time for SeaWorld stunts. I don't know about this SeaWorld stunt. Is this something I don't know about?
The SeaWorld stunt, basically, I think that was just another act. We go back to acts of desperations. How many times has he been in jail? Another thing, too. I think this is